Hey you guys, welcome back. So today you're doing 12.2. So we're going to be doing some finite because obviously we have to have it to end, otherwise we can't add. And today we're going to do the arithmetic series. So you'll see what I mean because I know yesterday we did the basic series. So today we're going to do the sum for arithmetic series. And there's a formula, unfortunately, you have to memorize for this one. And then tomorrow we're going to do geometric. Okay, so let's first just maybe write one more time what the arithmetic series is. So you have your arithmetic series for today. Okay, so the arithmetic series is, we can say, an expression formed by adding, remember again, it's you adding terms of, and then here's obviously your keyword, the arithmetic sequence. Pretty simple. Okay, so just like everything, we have a formula. Let's write it, and then I'll talk about what each term or letter stands for. Okay, so we have Sn equals N, really similar to the letters we used before, A1 plus AN over 2. What you're trying to do is you're trying to find the sum of the series that I give you. Okay, so let's talk about what each of these letters mean. So S of N means the sum of, oh my God, I keep moving the paper, N terms. Right, S of N, so if I want S of 20, it means, hey, what's the sum of the first 20 terms? So this is going to be the sum. Usually we're going to be finding that. We all know what A means. A means, again, the position, but in this case, I want you guys to think about it as the number of terms. And we all know A1, first term, A sub N, last term. So those are the things that we all need to be able to do this problem. I'm usually going to ask you to find me the sum. So you're going to need to know N, which is the number of terms. You're going to need to know A1, which is your first term, A sub N, which is your last term, to be able to do this. Obviously, you're going to have to find one of the three things to be able to do it. Okay, so let me give you guys some examples. There's four different types that you can maybe see. So let's just do a few to get started. Okay, so this is what you guys can see on your homework. Okay, so first, so again, evaluate, or we'll say find the sum. Okay, so the first type, we'll just label it A. Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, I gave you guys something like this yesterday. Here's the thing. If I gave you this problem yesterday, you would be there for quite some time, substituting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the way up to 30, and then adding them up. That would be A, annoying, and B, just very time consuming. So with problems where the numbers are so far apart, we use the sum formula. Now, what you have to recall is this is for arithmetic only. So as long as you guys have an arithmetic formula or arithmetic rule, you can use this. If you don't, you cannot use it. And I'll explain and keep reiterating that. So to understand arithmetic rule, you must have, make sure you write this down, start, a linear equation as the rule / formula. And it'll make sense once you guys get all of these down. So again, you can only use this if the arithmetic formula is a linear, which I know you can't read that word, that's terrible, a linear equation. So I'm just going to highlight that. Make sure you guys have that written down. Otherwise, you cannot use this formula. Okay, and then all you're going to do is, if you remember the things up top, is you're going to substitute them in. So let's take a look. Here's the first one, like I said. I can give it to you like that. So S of, well, the question is how many terms do you want? You're going from 1 to 30. So from 1 to 30, you have 30 terms. Don't say 29 because you're actually including the 30. So you have 30 terms. Great. Okay, so then if you take a look at your formula, N is N. N is the amount of terms. N, these are the same. So you have 30 terms. And here you go. We need to find, so for this, I need to find the first term. Well, easy to find the first term. You're starting at 1. So to find the first term, I'll do it here. To find the first term, you're going to take 3 plus 5 times 1. So we have 8. 8, we can say, is our A1. That is our first term. Plus, okay, we need our last term. First term, last term, the sum of the first and the last. Well, this is my, last. So you're just substituting it in. So we have 3 plus 5 times 30 is 153. This right here is your A sub n. So I'm just going to highlight some things. In this problem, we didn't know what A1 is and AN was, so you had to find it. Now we just do that and just think about it. You're always going to divide by 2 because you have 2 terms. Put this in your calculator 30 times. Be careful. Make sure you use parentheses or do 8 plus 153 and then do divide by 2 and then times it by 30. So the sum of the 30 terms, if you substitute it into here, you would get 2,415. Here is your answer. So it's imperative that you know your formula. It's imperative you know what each one stands for. N amount of terms, first term, last term. It's important that you know all of this. So this unit is really important for you understanding where each number comes from. Okay, let's take a look at another one since you have an idea. Let's say n, just to keep it going. N equals 1. I'll put my ones like that. 18. And I'll say 14 minus 6n. Again, if you forgot your formula, you'd have to go 1 and you'd have to go all the way to 18. Thank God we don't, well, thank God maybe you hopefully didn't, you understand the formula so you can do this. So here you go. Check. Is this a linear equation? Yes, it's linear because your exponent's 1 and it's like an mx plus b. Okay, so here we go. S of how many terms? Well, from 1 to 18 is straight 18. If you're not sure, use your fingers to count. Equals how many terms? N, 18 terms. A1, first term. Well, to figure out the first term, let's figure out what it is. Substitute it in. So A1, you have 14 minus 6 times 1. So you have 14 minus 6, so you have 8. Plus, let's find out your last term. A of 18 is the last term. I want you to go to 18. Let's figure out what that is. So you have 14 minus 6 times 18. Okay, so the last term is negative 94. And then you want to take it and divide by 2. Okay, so put that in your calculator. And here is what you get for the sum of your 18 terms. If you added them all up, this would be your answer. Make sure you guys can do it so you understand how to use the calculator. Pretty simple, I hope you guys think. That's your first way I can ask you to calculate the sum. Again, knowing that these are linear, great. Memorizing that formula. N, that's not the amount of terms. First term plus last term over 2. And again, this allows you to calculate sub. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Okay, here's your next question I can ask you. I told you that there were, I think, 4. Okay. So second type of question, I'm going to say, find, writing two different words at the same time, find the sum of the series. Okay, so let's do an A. -1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 34. Okay. So I'm just going to go to the side because I don't have it in front of me, and I want you guys constantly writing it down. When you hear the word sum, first thing, and I'm just going to keep going over it, you want to look. You notice it's going up by 5, so it is arithmetic. Once it's not, we'll have to play around with that, which is tomorrow. So knowing again, you're going to have to decide. We know it's arithmetic, check. Then what I would recommend you guys doing is writing your formula so you have it memorized. You know, the more that you write it, the more you have it memorized. For number of terms, first term, last term, this. All right, let's sub in our numbers. Well, you got S of n equals n. Oop, that's right, n is here. How many terms is this? Remember, this is A1, A2, A3. Oh, I don't know. What is this last term? So in this problem, I do not know. I'm just going to put it here because I want you guys to see the different variations. In this problem, I do not know what n is. I do not know what position that term is. I do not know how many terms there are. So in a type of problem like this, I have to find what n is. I'll do it in a moment. I just like to put in usually the numbers I know. Like I know the first, and I know my last. So the question that remains is, hey, what the heck position is this? And you just did all of them yesterday, and you did them all last week. So here we go. We have to figure it out. So to figure out what n is, you are going to use, since you're doing arithmetic here, your arithmetic sequence formula to help you calculate n. Everything comes hand in hand. Remember, this is your series formula. So we have a sub n, which we know is 34, equals a sub 1. This is your sequence formula. -1 plus, the common difference is we're constantly adding 5. And I don't know because I'm looking for n. I'm looking to figure out what term this is. And then it's a matter of us solving. Again, please do not say 4. It's -1 plus 5n minus 5. Okay, so then you guys get your 34 equals, you could say 5n minus 6. Add 640, divide by 5n equals 8. So this is actually only the 8th term. So this number is so important. So this was like an 8, and this was an 8. So that's what you're finding in that problem. Please make sure you understand it. We're going to do one more variation of that, so you'll be okay. Again, you put this in your calculator, -1 plus 34 divided by 2 times 8, and you should get 132. Okay, so you didn't know n in this one. Great. All right, let's take a look at another one just so you see. All right, so we have 83 plus 80 plus 77 plus ... plus 5. Okay, so I want the sum of the series. So we want to look at this again and say, are we decreasing or increasing by the same amount? 3, 3. So that's how you guys know this is arithmetic. You don't know anything else for the moment, but I want to keep doing that because of tomorrow. And we all know the common difference is -3. All right, so now you know the sum of arithmetic formula. This is what you guys are doing for your sum or your series formula. Sorry, I didn't mean sum. I just meant this is for the sum of the series, I guess I want to say. Or sum of the sequence. Okay, this is your sum formula. For arithmetic. Geometric formula is different. Like I said, we'll learn that tomorrow. Okay, so here I'm going to start. S. I know A1, A2, A3, AN. So I have my A1, I have my AN, I don't know what N is. So one more time, I might want to write this like a question mark just so you guys can understand, like, what is it I don't have? I don't have N. I didn't have N, so like I said, it's similar problems. But I like to fill out what I know. 83 plus 5 over 2. I just have to find N. All right, same thing we did before. A sub N is this guy. 5 equals A sub 1. In this case, we're going to subtract 3, N minus 1. You guys do the math for it, distribute. Again, please be careful, don't do 80. It's 83 minus 3N plus 3. So in this problem, you're going to get N equals 27. Yay, yay. So when you guys put it all in the I guess I can do this too. That's 27. When you guys put it in the calculator for 27 terms, if you add them up, you will get 1188. So please make sure you guys understand that type of problem. Okay. Let's do another different, a few other ones just so I can show you. So here's another one. So let's just reiterate, in these problems, 2 problems, we didn't know what N was. Okay, now let me show you another one. I'm going to say find S of 15, given. I probably shouldn't have put the 15 and the S together. They look too similar. Just so you guys can see. Okay, so first, the fact that I said S, you know this means find the sum of 15. It's always the first. So find the sum of 15 terms. All right, well, let's take a look. Is this arithmetic? Plus 12 plus, yep. Okay, so this is arithmetic. And again, the common difference is 12. So I start writing my formula. S up. I know how many. I know what term I want to stop at. I know how many I want. I want 15 terms. So sum of 15, S of 15 equals how many terms? 15 times A1 plus, okay, in this problem. So again, these you didn't know what N was. You didn't know how many terms that was. I had my first and my last. In this, you know what N is. I want 15 terms. However, in this type of problem, we do not know AN. I do not know what the last term is. So this is the other problem I could give you. Again, because it's arithmetic, we're just going to use your arithmetic formula to find out the 15th term. So A sub 15. What is the 15th term? We don't know, or you can just put X or A of N, doesn't matter. But I know my first term, I know the common difference is 12, and I know what term I want. I want the 15th term. So when you guys put all of that in your calculator, your 15th term, you will end up calculating to equal 176. That is your 15th term. So if you went all the way, that's your number you're looking for. So in this problem, I was asking you for A sub N, and then the sum of 15 terms you guys would get. Calculate 8 plus 176, divide by 2 times 15. You get 1380. One more of this, and then one other problem, and you guys are done for today. Okay, just so I can show this one again, I did 2 problems to find N, and you should be writing this, and now I'm doing 2 problems to find A sub N. So I want you guys to find S63 of okay. So you look at it and you're constantly increasing by 7. So again, we know this is arithmetic, and I know D is 6. Sorry, looked at the wrong thing. All right, so then I'm going to say, okay, S of 63 means I want the sum of 63 terms. Just think to yourself, that is N. This is N. If you want to write yourself notes, you can say this is your A1 and look at the formula. What are you missing? Okay, so A1, I got my first term. Oh, that's not right. Give me a moment. First, you have to write how many terms we want. 63 times my first term plus, question, do you know the last term? No. So here we go again. I don't know what A sub N equals. And in this case, we're looking for the last term. We got A1 and we got N and A1 in this problem. So we set it up. I want the 63rd term. First term was negative 19. The common difference is 6. And I want the 63rd term. Again, these formulas are super important. So what is the 63rd term when you guys substitute it in? And I don't even have that, so let's take a look. We got negative 19 plus 6 times 62. Okay, so I get 353 is my last term because I just want 63 terms. So I'm going to put this right here. And then let's calculate that. Minus 19 divided by 2 times 63. And here is your final answer for the sum of 63 terms. 10,521. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Do you guys see how important your formulas are? Yes. And I'm just going to do one other problem, and then I promise you guys are done. But it's the same concept, the same formulas. I just want you to see how this one works. This is like one of the problems you have on your homework, so that's why I want to show it to you. I think I wrote it as example 3. Okay, so if I said to you guys, find the sum of consecutive integers, integers, from 2 to 156. Okay, so let's take a look. Again, I want consecutive. We're going to 56. You guys are using your sum of arithmetic sequence formula or series. So we got S of, well, if you take a look, A of 1, hopefully you guys tell me, is 2. What's this one? This is your last term, right? You want to go from 2 to 156. So I have A1, I have AN. The question is how many terms is that? So how many terms is it from number 2 to 156? And you're including 156. So if you think about it, from 1 to 156 is 156. So from 2 to 156 is 155. Another way you guys can do it, you could just take the number, right, and you get 154. But you have to add 1 because when you do this, you're not including the actual 156. Or do it the way I said it, 1 to 156 is 156, and I want 2. Well, once you guys have that, that's easy. So we have 155, first term. Oh my God, I keep doing that. 155 terms, first term plus last term over 2. And you guys put that all on your calculator, and here's what you should get. 12,245. Last one of these, and then you guys have it down. Okay, so we'll say that's an A. Here's your B. If I want to find the sum of, we'll say, even numbers from 1 to 50. Okay? So again, starting, well, am I starting at 1? If you think about this, here's my even. If I'm telling you go from 1 to 50, what's your A1. Your A1 has to be an even number. So it is 2. What is AN? What's the last number? A of N is 50 because it's your last term. Okay, the question that remains, here we go again, is what is N? How many terms are there from 2 to 50? But they're even. Well, if you think about it, from 1 to 50 is 50, okay? But you want to go from 2 to 50, and you want to be even. So you can kind of calculate it hand to hand, or you're kind of just doing half the numbers. If you think about 1 to 50, you have half of those numbers is even, half of those numbers are odd. So if 1 to 50 is 50 terms, how many of them are even? 25. Gotta do a teeny bit of thinking. 25 terms, first term, last term, divided by 2. So the sum is 650. Hopefully that made sense to you guys and was a pretty easy lesson for arithmetic. The hardest thing you have to do is know your formulas. Just write them down over and over again and understand what each of them mean. All right, you guys, see you tomorrow. Bye.